Hello, everyone, and welcome to The Rundown, where we talk about 2A news and conservative views. I will be your host today, Craig DeLuz, coming at you from the West Coast, the left coast, behind the Iron Curtain, otherwise known as the Sierras. Now, as you know, normally I do not do this program by myself, but my good friend Mike Piwowarski from the East Coast, you know, the coast with the most, with the co-host with the most, unfortunately, once again, is out and about. Although he is not currently flying the friendly skies, he is grounded because of weather. But hey, Mike, at least you avoided the mudslides, right? Right. Yeah, it's a little inside story with Mike and I, since he loves to talk about California and mudslides, in case you didn't know. Anyway, folks, so check it out. Look, we're going to be coming at you today. We're still going to be talking about the news. We're still going to be getting down with the get down, right? So please make it a point to like and share the program. Encourage your friends to do the same. Let them know, hey, however you want to partake of the program, you can find us. You can find us on YouTube, Facebook, Rumble. You can find us on Twitter. You can find us or watch the program on Spotify, on OpsLens, or however you get your podcasts if you just want to listen to the program. But however you decide to do it, please make it a point to do it. Also want to encourage you, check out our sponsors. That's right. Please take a moment to check out our sponsors. These are the folks who make it so that we are able to come to you. All right. The first one I want to let you know about is Hitman Industries. That's right. Hitman Industries. If you own an AR-15, there's a good chance that you already have one of their barrels in your collection. But just in case, you can go there. And as you can see, what we have here is we have a number of various different firearm parts and accessories that are available to you. Not just barrels, but by the way, you can buy barrels from them. But make sure that you go there, check them out. You can find them at hitmanindustries.net. That's hitmanindustries.net. Then I want to let you know about our next organization, the next sponsor, the California Republican Assembly. These are the folks who are fighting for our rights here in the state of California. That's right. I like to call them the conservative wing of the Republican wing of the Republican Party here in California, fighting for life, liberty, and happiness, fighting for the fundamental rights that we all have. A phenomenal group that I have had the pleasure of working with for quite a long time. Please make it a point. Visit them if you're in California. If you're not in California, visit them anyway at cragop.org. That's cragop.org. If you like what you see, make a donation or become a member. Also want to encourage you to visit our very, very good sponsors, relatively new sponsor, uscombatgear.com. Folks, if you need anything combat related, if you need opticals, if you need helmets, if you need boots, whatever you need, they will have it, and they'll have it there for you, available at a good price. All you got to do is go there and check it out. That's uscombatgear.com. It is the place to go to get all of your cool tactical gear. All right, folks, let's go ahead and let's get into today's program. Start talking about what is up, right? So our first story here has to do with the Oath Keepers. Now, I will be honest with you. What I know about the Oath Keepers, quite frankly, is positive. I don't. Maybe some of you out there know more than I know about who the Oath Keepers are, but clearly the government has deemed them to be a terrorist, a semi-terrorist, if not a terrorist organization. A number of the leaders, or a few of the leaders who are members or leaders of the Oath Keepers, are starting to come up for trial for the what took place during January 6th. They have, there's a bunch of information now that is starting to come out, or in this particular case, leaked. And it's kind of funny, just as an aside. Have you noticed how much of the information and data, a lot of this stuff that whether it's coming from DOJ or it's coming from the courts or it's coming from this committee, have you noticed how much information is being leaked to the media? And it's interesting that none of it is stuff that makes either President Trump or the people on trial or the organizations or Republicans look good. All of it is stuff that makes them look bad. Makes you kind of wonder how we're supposed to trust the justice system that can't even control information and can't even control leaks. But with that, I digress. In any case, what we have here is a list of folks whose names have come out. And it turns out that among Among the members who are members of the Oath Keepers, you have elected officials, you have police chiefs. They also note that members of the military, both current and former members of the military, are on this list. Now, deep down in the article, they note that just because your name is on the list doesn't mean that you are necessarily an oath keeper. Doesn't mean that you're part of this quote unquote terrorist organization. But what? And I'm not calling them terrorist organizations. By the way, I do not believe that they are a terrorist organization. Do I believe that they can be extreme? Well, you know what? We are in extreme times, and I do believe that they have done. This is what's funny. Oh, here's the one right here. So it says here, Oath Keepers, founded in 2009 by Stuart Rhodes, is a loosely organized conspiracy theory filled group. They believe in conspiracy theories like the government should not be imposing shutdowns because that's unconstitutional. Things like we have the right to keep and bear arms. Conspiracies like our country was founded on biblical principles. And that, oh, by the way, they are especially considered extremists because they took a vow. It says they asked their members to take a vow to defend the Constitution against all enemies, foreign and domestic. It promotes the belief that federal government is out to strip citizens of their civil liberties and paints followers as defenders against tyranny. Now, I'm just kind of wondering how any of that is bad, right? What exactly is it of those things that makes it so that these are things that we ought to denigrate some people for, things that we ought to punish people for, that we ought to look down on people for? These are not things that make you a terrorist. All right. What they're trying to say is, well, these people we're talking about, they were organizing to go to the Capitol because guess what? They wanted to exercise their fundamental right to peaceably protest. Now, does that mean that they were involved in a plot to overthrow the government? That's the case that the January 6th committee is going to try and make. But we already know that so far the cases that they've been making are so incredibly weak. I mean, they had to bring in a Hollywood producer to produce all of the hearings so far. And supposedly, I'm assuming they came with the best that they have. Unfortunately, folks, wasn't very good, was it? No, it was not. By the way, just want to say hello to Catherine Hart, who's watching us out of San Mateo County. Thank you so much for tuning in. Doing a phenomenal job there. And I'm assuming you say we're growing, so I'm assuming you're talking about the California Republican Assembly out there in San Mateo County. Folks, those folks in San Mateo County got a lot of work to do because that is the hotbed of the liberal Silicon Valley types. So I'm sure they are doing a phenomenal job out there. In any case, back to the subject. They're making it out so that these guys are extremists for simply believing in the same oath that many of them already took when they got into office, right? When they got into the military, when they became law enforcement officers. That's the oath. What they're saying is, we are going to keep that oath. We took that oath. We're going to keep that oath. Right? And even if we are not currently in the military, not currently in elective office, not currently in law enforcement, we are going to stand up and we are going to keep the oath that we took to defend the Constitution of these United States from all enemies, foreign and domestic. And I'm going to add a little piece to it, up to and including a tyrannical government. And trust me, when you have a government who basically is saying that if you stand up against the tyrannical government, you are in fact a terrorist, that is in fact, folks, a tyrannical government. Just saying. I mean, when you have a president who stood up and said, if you don't agree with me on these political issues, then you are a threat to democracy. Tell me he didn't say that. Tell me the president of the United States with the military at his back. I'm not saying those guys support him. I'm not saying the military supports him. All I'm saying is he used the military in the backdrop to say that if you don't agree with me, you are a threat to these United States and we will seek you out and deal with you. Maybe it's just me, but that's what he said. That's what I heard. If he didn't say that, I dare you, hey, feel free. You can just write there in the comments. You can go ahead and comment and let me know what you think. But I'm just going to say, yeah, no, thank you. All right. Next on the topic. This is an interesting one. So many of you may not know, but Washington, D.C. has been awash with illegal immigrants. In fact, in response to thousands of immigrants appearing in Washington, D.C. Through via bus, basically they're being sent there from Texas, from Arizona. Basically, the governors have said, look, we're going to start sending, as these people are coming across the border, we're going to start sending them to places that have said, hey, we have a sanctuary, we're a sanctuary city. We welcome immigrants. So we have resources for you. We have housing. We have all of this stuff that we're going to do. And by the way, we're not going to work with immigration services. So you'll be safe here. So the governors in the state of Arizona and in the state of Texas have said, well, let's send them to these places who have said that they're, that they're open to the idea, that they want them, right? That's what they said, right? That's what being a sanctuary city is, right? Well, now the mayor of Washington, D.C. has, evidently she wanted them, but didn't want them that bad, because now she has declared a state of emergency over the migrant arrivals. Now, mind you, in the months that this has been taking place, this has been taking place a little over a month. We're talking a couple of thousand, and that's all they can really point to is a few thousand immigrants who have appeared there in Washington, D.C. Now, the funny part about this is, here we go. Okay, so as of Thursday, Texas governor had sent more than 7,900 immigrants on over 190 buses to the district, 2,200 immigrants on over 40 buses to New York, and more than 300 immigrants on 5 buses to Chicago. Now, the interesting thing about this is, now I want you to think about this, 7,900 immigrants. Does anyone out there have an idea or know how many immigrants are entering into the country illegally or entering into the country illegally through the southern border into Texas or in Arizona? Anybody? Bueller? Nobody out there knows? Okay, well, I will tell you. It is about 200,000 every month. 200,000 every month. That's how much the state of Texas, the state of New Mexico, and the state of Arizona, that's how many people they have to deal with. As we've already told you, over 2 million over the last year, 2 million people have illegally crossed the country. Now, by the way, those are the ones we know about. Those are the ones that we have engaged and set free, and the known gotaways. We don't know, and that's the official term, gotaways. So before y'all go claiming racism, they're called gotaways. But that's how many we know. That doesn't even include the number of folks that we don't know about. That doesn't include the ones that we have no idea if they cross. So that is what is going on right now in those 3 states. And so now you have in a couple of states, in 3 states, who are now getting a fraction. I think a fraction is safe to say. They're not even getting, once again, they're not even getting a tenth. They're not even getting 10% of the number of immigrants that are coming into these other states, that are coming in through our southern border, and yet for them, it is a crisis. Well, what the hell do you think it is right now in Texas? What do you think they've been clamoring for? Why they're clamoring for the federal government to actually close the southern border? Why do you think it is? Because they're having to deal with it, right? They're the ones that are having to provide the resources and whatnot to take care of all those people, to take care of their children. In the meantime, this is the only way you can get the mainstream media. It's the only way you can get CNN to report on what's going on at the southern border. Go look. You won't see any stories on CNN about how many immigrants there are at the southern border. In fact, tell you what, let's do this. I'll pull up their website. Let me see. Here on their website, let's see if I can find any stories about illegal immigration, about people coming across the southern border. Let's see. We have forecasters predict Democrats have an edge in the fight for control in Senate races across the country. Candidates are locked in debates over debates because Democrats, by the way, don't want to debate Republicans. They don't want to debate because they know they're losing. They know on the issues they know they lose. Here we go. BLM infighting is brewing for years. Voting in general election. Biden says he'll attend Queen Elizabeth. There's Queen Elizabeth. There's Biden and former Queen Elizabeth. Here's something about the Proud Boys. Proud Boys and founders of Online Murder the Media Group plead guilty to charges. Okay, we're still talking about January 6th. But you notice, not one article, not one on the front page about the 200,000 immigrants who are coming across, or people who are coming across our southern border every month. Not one, folks. Not one article. But, hey, we can get them to write about it by sending these very same immigrants, a fraction of them, a small pittance of them. When I say pittance, I mean a small number, so I'm not denigrating them because of their national origin. But I'm saying we're going to send a small number of them to some of these major cities, and that will get us major news coverage. That will get CNN to pick it up. That will get MSNBC or the New York Times or the whatever mainstream, whatever news outlets, the mainstream news outlets there are out there that are ignoring the story. That is how we get them to report on it, by sending those folks there. And that's all they really care about. I mean, they only care because now it's affecting them. When it was affecting the border states, those red states, they didn't care so much. So anyway, so that's what's going on with that particular story. Meanwhile, in South Carolina, and this is an interesting one, so they have a Senate candidate who is running against Tim Scott. Tim Scott is the only African-American, only Republican African-American serving in the U.S. Senate, and he is running for re-election. And they have a candidate that is running against him. Her name is, let's pull her name up right here. She's a representative, so it's Representative Crystal Matthews. Now, Crystal Matthews, interestingly enough, is now basically being pushed out of the election by her own party. That's right. South Carolina Democrats are calling on their party's U.S. Senate nominee to quit. Now, why are they doing this? Well, she was recorded by Project Veritas saying some very, very ugly things. She was sitting in a restaurant, and this is what she had to say. First of all, she pointed out that her constituents are mostly white, and she said that I keep them right here under my thumb. Otherwise, they get out of control, like kids. She went on to say, you ought to know who you're dealing with. Matthews goes on to say, you've got to treat them like, and there's an S word, S blank, 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 blank. I'm going to assume that's the poop word. That's the only way that they'll respect you. So in other words, and by the way, she also referred to Project Veritas as a satirical, MAGA-powered news outlet. First of all, there's nothing satirical about them because they have I don't know why y'all think y'all can get away with talking however you want and then be mad when people just play your own words, right? They take your own words, the stuff you actually said, and they use it against you, and then you want to act like they're doing something unfair, right? Well, nobody knew. We didn't know that they were recording us. Just so you know. So how Project Veritas works is they take you to, or they talk with people in public settings. In a public setting, you have no expectation of privacy. This is how they've been taken to court a number of times, and to my knowledge, so far, they've never lost a lawsuit. In fact, when they've countersued, they've actually won their countersuits. But you go to a public place, so you are in a public place making a statement and talking, right? There's no assumption of privacy, and they are allowed to then record someone in a public place where there is no privacy. So what these folks are saying is, they're not saying that they lied or they didn't believe what they said. What they're saying is, you recorded us against our knowledge. They're not even saying that it's out of context, right? Democrats aren't even saying that stuff. what they're saying is, yeah, it's just not fair that you recorded what we actually think, what we say when our people aren't actually, around and paying attention to us. We're going to reveal what you actually say. Well, that's what this politician actually did. She decided that, she decided that she was going to talk about, basically, she's racist against white people. And she just flat out admitted it and was like, I'm going to keep them under my thumb. I'm going to control them. And I'm going to tell them what to do. And, that's just the way it is because they can't be trusted. That's her attitude. And so now her own party is calling on her to bow out of the race. Interesting times when you are so racist that even the Democratic Party is telling you, when you are such a racist Democrat that even your own party members are telling you, you got to go. It's time to go. So, lady, it's time for you to go. It's time for you to step out. You're done. You're toast. And by the way, that's a good thing. We are so happy that you are done and that you are toast. Okay, let's see. What do we have next? Oh, we got the Disney story. Now, this was one, when I saw this, I actually saw this story originally because a friend of mine posted on it. He is a filmmaker. They're out of, he's in Nashville, Tennessee. Phenomenal guy, phenomenal believer, solid man. And he's not a person who's a stick in the mud. He's not a stick in the mud. He's not like, I don't know how to put it. Anyway, he's not so spiritually conscious that he's no earthly good. So spiritually minded that he's no earthly good. No. In fact, his whole thing is he wants to make movies, in particular Christian movies that are, that resonate with people, that actually just provide good entertainment, but with a positive message, with the biblical message. Anyway, all that having been said, he heard about this show that's being put out, produced by Disney, but it's supposed to be running on FX, and the show is called Little Demon. Now, I could not believe this when I heard this. So this thing is called Little Demon. Disney is mainstreaming the Antichrist. Now, by the way, this is an opinion column, so I just wanted to make sure to let that out for you. But here, I'll read just the first paragraph for you. It says, Congressman Mike Johnson sounded the alarm after witnessing an advertisement for Little Demon animated series during the football game between LSU and Florida State. Like many Americans, I've become numb to politicians expressing outrage at our cultural decay. Most of the time, it's a weird conspiratorial stretch designed to score a cheap political point or cheap political points. In this case, Disney is actually mainstreaming the Antichrist. I have not lost my mind. Literally, this show is called Little Demons. There's a character who, 13 years after being here. This is actually from the piece about the movie. 13 years after being impregnated by Satan, a reluctant mother, Laura, and her Antichrist daughter, Chrissy, attempt to live an ordinary life in Delaware, but are constantly thwarted by monstrous forces, including Satan, who yearns for custody of his daughter's soul. I have no idea what to say about this. If Walt Disney were alive today, I would just love, maybe once, if I could just be a fly on the wall and listen to him talking to the people who are now running his company, and have him question him as to what they could possibly be thinking. I mean, folks, we already know that Disney, through the various stuff that they have been putting information out there. I got to tell you, they've already been putting a bunch of stuff out there that we just know it is beyond woke. It is beyond promoting immorality and not the sorts of things that you would expect Disney to be promoting. And at every turn, as they've sought to promote these things, they have lost market share. They have lost money. They have lost family. Entire families have just said absolutely, positively no. And there are many in the church, many conservatives who just stood up and said, yeah, no, Walt Disney is of the devil. Well, guess what? Now we know they are truly of the devil. Why? Because they're making a show about the devil. They're making a show glorifying the devil. Once again, I will just tell you right now, I'm not a stick in the mud that's like, oh man, we can't just. No, I'm really just watching this and I'm like, really? And but by the way, they're not just making a show about the devil, because this is not the first show made about it. They're literally making a cartoon about the devil, a child's cartoon about the devil. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I need to do a little bit more research. Maybe it's not a child's cartoon. Maybe it's targeting or aimed at adults. But this is Walt Disney doing this. When Walt Disney makes a cartoon, raise your hand if you think it's a quote-unquote adult cartoon. You know, something, you know, they have like, so I know on Comedy Central used to have, what is it called, Adult Swim, which was, you know, late night adult cartoons targeted towards adults. And I've seen cartoons out there targeted towards, but I've never seen one from Walt Disney. By the way, Ted, thank you so much for tuning in. We very much appreciate you for tuning in and commenting. Thank you so much. But yeah, I am dumbfounded at this. This is what modern, folks, you know, I do movies, I do shorts, I'm into film production. I'm not it's not a career of mine. I'm not like I'm out making a bunch of money at it. It's more, that's kind of my artistic outlet, because Lord knows I cannot sing and I cannot paint or draw. So, or play an instrument. So acting is what I do. But darn, I'm like, really? I'm like, it's one thing to promote, you know, stuff that we may question or not be into, but to actually promote the devil to children, the Antichrist to children, that's where you're at now, Disney. Really? Okay, well, yeah, Disney, you lost me. Sorry. And by the way, this guy, my friend, is a big time Star Wars fan. So it really kills him to have to cut off Disney Plus, because that's where all the Star Wars stuff is now, and they're the only ones putting out Star Wars stuff now. So unfortunately, he's gonna have to go back to his old Blu-rays and DVDs, and that's where he's gonna have to kind of get his Star Wars fix from the past, because there is no future in the future of Walt Disney and Star Wars. Anyway, that there be how it be. All right, let's move on to our parting shots, shall we? All right, this first parting shot is, well, let's just say it's in honor of the new king there in Great Britain. With the passing of Queen Elizabeth, we now have the now taking of the throne of King Charles. And, well, 73-year-old man. For those who don't know, this is for those who can't hear or are just listening, it's basically a newspaper with a picture of King Charles on it, and it says 73-year-old man finally gets a job. Yeah, that is funny stuff. By the way, Ted, just got your point. Yeah, it's interesting. Have you noticed how how Epstein's list of clients has not been leaked yet? How has that happened? You notice that that's kind of funny. You know, no leaking of Epstein's list, is there? One has to wonder. One definitely has to wonder. And now this next one, well, let's just say this is where we are right now with all of the COVID stimulus that has come out. You know, people have gotten used to the government giving them stuff, and the people who keep voting for them, these are those people. It's basically a clown who's standing and holding a sign that says, if we pay more taxes, we'll get more free stuff. Yeah, that's how dumb some of them are. That is what clowns they happen to be. They do not realize that, yeah, those taxes that you're paying, yeah, that goes to pay for the free stuff. But, by the way, it doesn't just pay for the free stuff. In fact, the free stuff is on borrowed money. The taxes are going into the politicians. I'm not going to say it's going into their pockets. I will say that it's going to benefit them and their programs. Anyway. All right, folks. Well, it's about that time. But before we go, I want to make sure to remind you to please visit our sponsors, Hitman Industries. That's Hitman Industries. You can find them at hitmanindustries.net. If you need a barrel, if you need any sort of firearm accessory or part, I'm sure that you will find what you need right there at hitmanindustries.net. Also, the California Republican Assembly, the Republican wing of the Republican Party in California, fighting the good fight behind enemy lines. And finally, I want to remind you, please visit uscombatgear.com. It is the place to get all of your cool combat stuff. As I always say, the links to our sponsors are in the description to this program, so please take a moment, visit them. If you like what you see, spend some money with them, and make sure you tell them the guys over at The Rundown sent you. Well, that's going to be it for today's program. Once again, I very much appreciate you tuning in. I appreciate you liking, sharing, and encouraging your friends to do the same. And we're going to call it a day, and we'll see you again on Monday. Fun day. Gun day. You guys have a good weekend.